Good morning, listeners and viewers out there. The British Business Podcast is delighted and amazed to be in the most amazing building in centre of Edinburgh. I have two wonderful people that I'd like them to introduce themselves this morning. So good morning, Lynne.
Well, good morning. Thanks very much for having me.
Fantastic.
So, where do we start? I'm Lynne Darcey Quigley, CEO and founder of Darcey Quigley. We are commercial debt recovery and litigation specialists, UK and globally. I liked being entrepreneurial so much, I started a second time around with Noit. 2 years ago, we started Noit, which is a credit management SaaS platform. And I looked at the dictionary, and this is probably a bit off-piece, but I looked at the dictionary last week and it said entrepreneur. And it said, someone who takes financial risks for the hope of profit. And I'll leave it there.
I read that 5 years ago. It was amazing. And Gordon?
Hi, everybody. I'm Gordon Merrylees. I'm currently Chief Commercial Officer at Noit, working with Lynne. But prior to that, I had a career of 36 years with RBS and NatWest in banking. I started as a cashier.
Wow.
Pretty much straight from school, in between a little stint as potentially a PE teacher, but I got offered a job in the bank and I took it. And I had mostly a career supporting SMEs. So I had the pleasure of running business banking for the UK, start-up through to 250,000 turnover, and then more locally in Scotland, start-up through to 2 million turnover. That was a decent-sized business. I had about 300 or 400 staff that worked with me to support those clients and customers, but 130 million P&L. And then the last 8 years before I decided to leave RBS and NatWest, and I'll come on to why I did that, I had the pleasure of having an idea, I suppose a bit entrepreneurial, to use Lynne's comment about entrepreneur, but my idea to create an accelerator program within the bank, and I'm delighted to say that legacy is still there today after leaving. We had 12 accelerators, more than happy to chat a little bit more about that, but that was really good because it was a real cultural change at a time when banks were under pretty serious pressure through the...
What did that mean? What does an accelerator hub
So it's a hub where entrepreneurs come in and receive the benefit of coaching, the benefit of that like-minded community. So we support them in terms of their growth ambitions, all the different stages from start-up, early stage through to high growth and scale-up, and all the things I have to think about during those growth stages to ultimately raising finance and exit. So there's a complete programme that supports entrepreneurs in that. I had a team of 60 strong across those 12 accelerator hubs from Edinburgh, not so far from here. It was in the original, or the new headquarters at Gogarburn. It's now closer to here, it's moved. Right through London, Manchester, Newcastle, Birmingham, Milton Keynes, Bristol, blah blah, Belfast. Sure. So I had 12 of those. So a place where entrepreneurs can get support, can meet with like-minded entrepreneurs, can learn how to pitch, learn how to deliver their business plans, understand and learn from each other. They're a very different group of individuals. Lynne being a great example of that.
How did you two meet?
Well, this is a story and a half.
Strange one, yeah. So I've been an RBS customer for 16 years with my first business, and probably a personal RBS customer for 25, 30 years, whatever it may be. So it was an obvious one to go with the bank and stay with the bank during starting up the businesses. Anyway, I was having, I wouldn't say trouble, but I was kind of not finding what I wanted from the bank. And I was a bit frustrated, and I found Gordon on LinkedIn. So I reached out, on LinkedIn, having no knowledge of who he was, where he was even situated. Like in the UK, I just thought, he seemed as if he's got the right title that can make stuff happen for me. So
can you remember what that title was?
I can't remember.
Can you remember?
Yeah, I was head of entrepreneurship.
Head of entrepreneurship, yes.
Okay.
So that was, the title was there, and I thought, he could probably help me. So I reached out.
Sometimes titles are important. That was important.
That day,
Well,
any other given Monday, probably not.
I think
However,
when you're looking for a decision or someone saying you to get a hold of something and try and make sure they took it serious, and I think that was Lynn's.
Yes. So I was pretty frustrated. Spoke to Gordon. Gordon agreed, and we kind of moved on. But subsequent to that, which is a little bit funny, is that Gordon said, "You sound as if you're from Lanarkshire." I said, "Yeah, I'm in Blantyre," and he says, "I live in whatever," and I was like, "Well, I live there too." And then he said, "Do you know my wife?" I think my wife knows you.
Yeah.
As it goes, my husband knows. Gordon's wife really well, and they worked together like a long time ago. And
not long after you and Mark met.
Yes, and you can tell him about Darcey.
Yeah, so I was working from home at the time, and Lynne and I.
So how long ago was this?
2 years? No,
11, 12 months ago.
Yeah, maybe about a year and a half.
Maybe 14
Relatively.
months.
Very new.
I've been with Lynne 10 months now, so it's maybe 15, 16 months ago. And we were working from home at the time during COVID as a bank, and all our interactions were on Zoom, probably more Zoom actually than Teams. And I phoned Lynne because one of my biggest either assets or
liabilities,
or liabilities, and some would say liabilities, is I never ever say no to someone when they contact me on LinkedIn. So I always try and help. And Lynne being a customer,
you might regret that.
I immediately went back to her and said, "Yeah, what can I do?" And so I immediately tried to help her. But we started chatting about the new business, and Lynne was saying, "What would you do here? And what's your thoughts on this?" And she was going through a moment, and Lynne can talk about it. It's since become quite a big pivotal moment for her. I was only given my thoughts and listening to what Lynne's journey was, and my wife was working at home at the time too, and she walked by it was my son's kind of playroom. I was in the playroom upstairs because I'm really loud, and my wife was working downstairs, and she said she could still hear me upstairs. Anyway, she was walked by the bedroom, playroom, and she said, "Who were you speaking to?" And I said it was Lynne. She said, "Not Lynne Darcey Quigley," and I said, "Yes." And she said, "I worked with Mark, and way back then it was Versace's in Glasgow. Denise's mum was a seamstress, and Denise was in there as a 15, 16-year-old.
Very young, yeah.
She was only young. Anyway, that was the story. And then she said, "Do you know that we called our daughter Darcey after Lynne Darcey? Because it's Lynne Darcey." And I was like, "No way." So
I was getting this on the call.
This was all playing out.
Like he's saying to me, "We called Darcey after you," and I went, "No." And Darcey's 22 now, and I was like, I had no idea. No. So immediately we were just like,
Denise fell in love with the name because of Lynne.
Yeah, so that was
Lynne's surname.
So it was all over after that. So I said, "Gordon, you need to come and work for me," and he tried to resist for 1 minute, and then that was it.
At the time, the bank were going through a bit of a restructure, and I had to get my head around that. And then they asked me to lead an SME task force during COVID, which was with the FSB, British Chamber of Commerce, British Business Bank, CBI, Scale Up Institute, quite a number of organisations supporting us to try and find the right policy and ways of supporting SMEs across the UK. So they kind of needed me to do that whilst I was transitioning from leading that other business as it went, because it went from a vertical business, UK, led by me, to being dispersed amongst the regions, and that often happens.
And SMEs, small, medium-sized enterprises.
Yeah. So the accelerator programme, led by me, was then the bank decided they would make it regional and have a real regional focus and link it to the regional commercial and business support, which was great. So at that point, I thought, actually, this is maybe the time to go and do something else. I had been really fortunate, a great career with the bank, but also really fortunate I'd never been offered redundancy in all those 36 years now. And I think to say that you have to be quite fortunate, and that's not lost on me. But I was kind of maxed out, and I thought, you know what, I might go and do something different. And at that point, I'd decided, got my head around it. So I'd made a decision to support my people. And the good news is that all 31 of them that were at risk all got a job. And that was the leadership moment done for me. I could go with my head held high, and knowing that all of them had secured a role. So that was the most important thing. And then it was time to turn my attention to me. I don't remember doing this. But I must have mentioned to Lynne, during the calls we had, and they were lengthy calls, we were on probably for at least an hour, an hour and a half at a time, because we had lots to talk about. And I must have mentioned during that I was going through that transition period. So when that transition period ended and the SME task force, for me anyway, came to an end, Lynne made me an offer to come and join Noit. And I don't remember having that conversation with her, but I must have done, because she took a note of it, bided her time and was very, very patient, and then at the right time nailed me.
Yeah, and the funny thing is we went out for dinner and Denise and I were in the toilet and she says, I know he hasn't given you his answer yet. She says, but he's absolutely going to come and work for you. You know that, don't you? And I was like, that's okay then.
There's a negotiation out the window.
So a total full circle. Well, a lot of history in between that neither of us never really knew about that.
No.
And what is Noit?
So Noit is a credit management platform in the cloud. So basically, the reason, first of all, why we called it Noit, and
why you got there.
Yes. So the journey of Noit is we go back. I mean, I go back 27 years now. I've been in credit management, dealing with commercial debt recovery and litigation. Clients and companies from all over the UK in every industry, construction, scaffolding, building supplies, recruitment, engineering, wholesale, food, drink, I could go on.
Sure.
It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you have an invoice outstanding, you need a service. You need an outlet. You need a professional that can help you on that journey that isn't necessarily a solicitor. Right, so that's when I started my journey. So 27 years ago, I started out in commercial debt recovery, and I learned my craft in a business for about 7 years, working in a commercial debt recovery environment. And after those 7 years, probably my entrepreneurial side kicked in. I was young. I was only a kid. I was, early 20s, and I thought, I can do this way better.
So, and I'm fascinated for the story, but just for the listeners and viewers out there, that moment,
yes.
What was it like in that moment? What were the fears? What were the aspirations?
Absolutely fearless.
Fearless.
Yes, for me. But that was my younger self. I'd maybe be more considerate. Well, in fact, I'm not actually, so that's a lie. I'm really not that way inclined. Okay. I'm not risk averse at all. Oh, really? That's just my nature, which I'm thankful for.
Sure.
However, it has its, probably like Gordon says, it has its pros and its cons.
Sure.
But in the moment, I just realised there was a moment. I think I was actually just sitting at my desk and I was thinking, do you know what? I've just heard something in the room that really doesn't sit with me well. And it isn't what I would expect in terms of service and being client-centric, customer-centric, giving that real full service. Could we push it a little bit further and give more? And I always knew I could give more. So that's when I started, thinking, right, I could maybe do this myself. However, I'd never ran a business. So I was good at the principal doing the job, getting the invoice paid, dealing with the clients. I had great relationships with clients because I can build a good relationship. So I knew that I had all those skills, but running a business is different. Hiring staff, paying for bills, renting an office, all those things you take for advantage.
Our viewers and listeners today, I would be saying to them, there's a guy out there called Jack Black. I don't know whether you've got
Mindstore.
Mindstore was amazing for me. 21 years old, I found Mindstore, and he said one thing, because you've just said, I didn't know about all those things.
No.
And we don't do it.
No,
when we first go into this journey, we know none of those things.
Nope.
And he said that I've never forgot, and I use it probably at least once a week. Don't ask how. Don't ask how, because you don't know.
No, you don't know
any of those answers.
No,
so.
you absolutely don't know. So, I think starting on that journey for me was just, as long as I knew I could do the core service, which I knew I could do really well, and I thought, everything will just come.
Sure.
All the natural things that you have in play will just come, and you will learn to be a business owner. You will be entrepreneurial. You will hire the right staff. You'll trust your gut. You'll build a team round about you, a good team, because you need them. So just all those things naturally happened, for me. So that's my kind of 17 years of being a business owner now. So
what was the first business you went?
Darcey Quigley. So we were commercial debt recovery and litigation. So that's where I had trained in for the 7 years previous. And I just thought, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to go out and I'm going to do it. I'm going to, meet clients. I'm going to start from, I was literally phone Yellow Pages. This is how your viewers or your listeners are going to think, what's the Yellow Pages if they're of a certain age? But back then we didn't have Google and stuff like that. We barely had, with a pen and a paper and a Yellow Pages, and it was, hard graft. It was hard. It was sacrifices. Just life in general, money, financial sacrifice.
Qualities,
yeah, absolutely, of course. But it makes you really resilient, doesn't it? Because you know how hard you to dig in to get it. And everybody does see that whole. That peak above the water, the iceberg thing, you've got the trappings of wealth, you've got a nice home, you're getting hello, I didn't see my family for about the first 10 years, I had to graft morning, noon and night, it's hard, and even today I'm still working as super hard as what I did 27 years ago, so that hasn't changed.
But that's the person, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, but it's, the graft has got to be there, the desire, the passion.
And did it take you abroad?
I did. I was in the States for a wee while. Yeah, I was asked, weirdly enough.
Is this life changing, this particular part of your life?
Yes. Well, I've been to the States twice. So I'll tell you my first time. I was asked in 2008 to go out to Dallas. As part of Dallas and Oklahoma. I straddled between both for about a year. One of the guys who I'd built a really, really good relationship with back in the debt recovery days was just about to acquire a new business. And he had concept of everything else other than what does the debt look like, how much money's outstanding, how can I get a handle on the debtors. I had about 6 million sitting in the ledger, so there was certain elements he had no idea what to do, and he says, look, I know, can I just give this to you because I know you'll deal with it. So I had a whole journey, out in labs, testing things, bringing in CRM systems, hiring staff, and that was a fantastic journey.
How long ago was that?
2007 I done
Just
that.
before the credit.
Just before the crash,
thing,
yes. So I opened Darcey Quigley in 2007. So I opened Darcey Quigley up at the crash. Basically, I was in crash mode.
So you don't think you don't do things easily?
It's not intentional.
Sure.
But
Just
it did, because that was my time.
Of course.
And you can never tell when your time is. You just need to take it. So my time was 2007. I was coming at the end of my career in the business that I was working in. I had an opportunity to go to the States. And I thought, I'm going to take it. I'm going to do it. I had no family. I wasn't married. And it was just the right time, to do it. And I thought, I'm going to do it. So I did. And then when I came back, I felt so much more empowered and stronger and, all of those things to open my own business. Yep. And I didn't do it with ease, but it felt easy. Does that make sense? I didn't do it with ease, but it just, it felt as if it was totally right and all the cards had aligned, and then we started. We started from there.
So that was the first...
That was my first. So, and then my second American journey. Well, that was just I can't even explain. Silicon Valley, it's absolutely fantastic. It just opens your mind so much. And I say I've probably got quite an open mind, but I felt when I arrived there, my mind was probably quite closed.
Why did you go there?
I went because I was the winner of Startup Summit. So we entered a competition where we had to put.
Who ran that?
It was Bruce and Zoe from Future X.
Okay.
So they are, they're a community business, aren't they? And they give entrepreneurs an opportunity to, stand up and be accounted, to pitch. This is our idea. This is where we are. We are startup. We're looking for funding, and just give you that opportunity to pitch, your business. And it's a competition. So I had to pitch online a few times. We had to do a big business plan. We had to do an application. It was a fantastic experience for us.
Bruce's business has grown considerably in the last 8 years.
And he's a bit of a force, Bruce.
Bizarrely, this is as bizarre as also, we were the first supporter of Bruce as an accelerator programme 8-9 years ago, and we paid for the flights for the successful entrepreneurs to go to Silicon Valley.
From Royal Bank of Scotland.
When they went through my team all those years ago, and forward wind 9 years later.
I know, and I'm there.
Lynn's
I know
one of the
the
winners.
synergies are crazy, but we pitched hard.
You did.
And what was the prize?
The prize was lots of support for the SME. So we got a package from STV where we could do free advertising.
Wow.
We got a lot of fintech support in terms of gig space, recruitment costs. They gave us £100,000 was what the package was worth to the business.
Sure.
Not all paid, but services that we could cash in
Sure.
on, which was fantastic. We're currently just about to finish off our STV campaign to go on TV.
Really?
So we've taken that, but the Silicon Valley was just the cherry on top.
What's interesting about that, Michael, we learned over the years when I was responsible for the accelerator programme that actually the support and the wraparound support that Lynne referred to there, that a number of businesses came forward and gave Bruce, and ultimately the winners of the Startup Summit, became more valuable than the money. So the trip to Silicon Valley, the support from STV, the recruitment support, all the access support that was an in-kind support that wasn't directly cash, if you like, is more valuable to an entrepreneur. And
because you don't see the cash. It
you
hits the bank
might not
and it's
know that
going.
in the beginning.
No.
It maybe takes you years to realise that, but we began to realise that the access to the network, the coaching, the access to the bank's network, the bank's supply chain, much more, and the ability to connect an entrepreneur.
So you were actually doing what Dragon's Den set out to do, because when they offer that money on their seats, that's not the prize for the entrepreneur. It's the Dragon's networks. It's all of that package behind it, isn't it?
The entrepreneur often enters, not this case because it's not set up like that, but usually when there's an investment or a cash prize, that's usually the draw for an entrepreneur. But in time, they begin to realise that actually it's not the most important part. It's
probably the least, actually.
Yeah, because Noit, we've been an Age winner. We've been an Age winner. We've won the Startup Summit. We've won Barclays Accelerate Her, Eagle Labs, Tech Nation Scottish finalist. So we've won a lot, but we've not had a lot of money because it's not about that. It's about the as Gordon says, the network, the support, the ability. We as a business would never invest in going on TV because it's not that important now for us.
It's
because
also very expensive.
And it's so expensive. So you don't have, as being a startup, which we are today, we're a fintech startup. We don't have lots of cash kicking about to go, well, I'll do a 50 grand investment in STV and hope I get a lead out of it. No. Or it's for the brand. Because that's what it is, it's brand awareness.
It'd be lovely to do it.
You don't have the luxury of doing that. So that gift was fantastic. And then, as I say, Silicon Valley, just been down there, we had an opportunity to meet lots of Great Britain entrepreneurs who had left the UK and had made it in the Valley. Wow. So they had a GBX night, and this means something completely different in Glasgow. I won't explain it, but it's a bit of a party. If you're from Glasgow, they'll understand what GBX means in the world of Glasgow. But out there, it was the Great British expats.
Okay.
So we actually had a dinner with them. They were all founders, all tech entrepreneurs. I have to say I was the only female around the table, which was quite sad. But anyway, but that was fine. I embraced that just as equal. Sure. They're my equal. I don't see any difference there. But we spoke about startup, how it is in the Valley. What levels of support are there financially? They're very different from us, I would say, in Silicon Valley. They have abundance.
When you say
abundance of cash.
Okay.
Their support is cash orientated.
Okay.
We'll give you,
They've got big funders.
We'll rate you money. 10 million. We'll rate you this. We'll rate you that. Just give us a bit of this. And whereas in here we're a bit more considerate. We're like, there isn't that level of cash flying about. Sure. However, in the Valley, they expect and they tolerate failure. Yeah. Whereas I think in the UK, we're not really that good at it. Whereas in the States, they think, well, if you failed twice, 3, 4, 5 times,
almost a badge of honor.
There is going to be a time where you actually become really good at this. That's the way they behave, which is quite different from our behaviour. So it was brilliant listening to that whole failure journey. Whereas none of us want to fail, but you might make little decisions sometimes and you go, that is a fail. It might not be a catastrophic fail, but it might be a fail within your, what your plan was. You didn't hit the target, or you failed at something, or you could have done better. But in America, they seem just not to have that whole, beat yourself up about it.
Matthew Syed says, doesn't he, that we only learn from our failures. Yeah.
Totally. And the Americans down in the Valley, they are all over it. It's almost, as Gordon said, you wear it with pride. But again, just listening to those entrepreneurs, what's possible is fantastic.
It sounds like you've entered, or you've been entered for, and it's a question sort of within a question is, do you think that business owners and controllers need to look for these awards? Do they get entered into them by default because of the good work that they do? How do they access
I think you
things?
need to look for them.
You need to
want
them.
it. For me, anyway, because I had a business before. Darcey Quigley.
So what was the main driver or drivers for
PR.
that? PR. So good PR. So you think
getting your story,
PR,
your message out there.
Always PR, but it starts there. That every journey starts with PR.
Okay.
It was getting the business out, getting the message out, because we've got a mission. Our mission is to make sure that SMEs, small business owners, medium business owners, anybody who has an outstanding invoice has the right to be paid. They've gave the service, they've done the job, they deserve to be paid. So, that's where we are. That is my mission.
This is a big problem just now, though. It's probably even more than that, but there was an article produced turn of the year. There's £61 billion in late payments outstanding just now.
Wow.
That's before inflation's hit an all-time high for many, many years. It's before furlough ended. It's before C-bills and B-bills loans started to get repaid. It's before interest rates started to go up. That 61 billion is even higher now, Michael. And I guess there's the insolvency effect as well. So it's a big issue. It's a pandemic in itself. So we've got a solution to really help SMEs understand that and mitigate that risk. And in doing so, reduce their debtor days through the platform, but also increase their cash flow, which has got all sorts of benefits, whether it's better terms with suppliers, a yes from a bank as opposed to a no from a bank, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So it's a big issue, and an issue that we're
and everyone deserves to get paid. For me, no matter what you are, what industry and who you are, what level of business you are, or where your business is in its journey, if you have done the service, gave the job, provided the product, whatever it may be, you need to be paid. So joining these competitions, even doing this today, it's all about our mission. Our mission is you need to be paid, and there is support out there for you. There's fantastic digital support. So that digital adoption is huge for us. We need to push that through the British businesses. That digital adoption. You can adopt if, just because you go, I'm not techie and I don't understand that, and that's not an excuse anymore. You need to be quicker, faster, more aware, and you can get that through that digital transformation. So my mission's always been, get paid. We have slightly changed because Noit is a digital solution. So we've pivoted as a business, saying we can give you a traditional solution, a traditional debt recovery solution where, we phone your debtors, we get you paid, we manage your ledger, we do all of those things, but there isn't a digital aspect to it. However, we created Noit because we wanted to give that customer who has that digital tendency and wants to behave like that and wants to have more insight, quicker, faster.
Sure.
We wanted to bring that.
But
SME, that comes with its challenges, by the way, the digital, transformation.
Of course. And I think, SME, small, micro, medium-sized business, with individuals are time poor. So it has to be a platform like Noit that's simple, easy to use. As Lynne would call it, a bit of a plug and play. Once you've set it up, it will run itself. It'll advise you of notifications and these red flags.
You need to be busy working on, working in and making more business, and doing more things. You can't be sitting thinking, I need to get paid, because it just that's that whole mental health thing right there. If what keeps you awake at night, I can't get paid. I'm out grafting really, really hard, or I'm doing this, or I've provided a fantastic service. How can I not get paid?
Sure.
So that whole, it's really, really tough. We often get companies, individuals, business owners, bigger companies, credit managers, financial controllers, all of that, and they range from different scales of jobs and roles, and that is keeping them awake at night. The fact that they can't get paid.
So the journey started for Noit how long ago?
2019. So we started building out the platform.
So in the middle of the pandemic, just before?
Yeah, just before. So pandemic was
in the middle.
Yeah, and then, we employed our first member of staff for Noit in the January, and the pandemic hit in the March, and then we continued to add our 12 bodies on.
So you grew in the pandemic?
Yeah, we recruited through the pandemic because we had a product to build, and we had a point to make that, this digital adoption was really high. It was high in everyone's list, like HMRC and tax going digital. So the government is forcing change through digital adoption. Yes. And I seen that coming And I thought, if we can give that plug-in solution to these people who are being forced to go digital, we can give them that credit control process, creditly grave, attach your ledger and away you go.
And was that organic growth, or did you have investment to look for?
We haven't had investment now until now, but I've invested in it.
Right, okay, personally?
Yes.
Okay.
Which has been quite substantial.
And present day, how many staff?
There's 13
12
staff, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't launched yet. Our commercial launch is July, so this year. So basically the last 2 years, the business has been building the product because it's an animal. The product is an absolute animal. It didn't start out that way, but as you know, appetites change. Yes. You get different ideas.
Yes.
You just start to get that feeling where I could do this, I could do that. And that's the beauty about being digital. Your appetite is, you just want to do more things, more plugins, more add-ons, give more to the customer.
It's almost immediate feedback, isn't it? Whereas in the
past,
with a form in the olden days, I remember direct mail. You've got to wait for the postman to deliver it. You've got to build all.
There's none of that now. You're asking for money in a second. Your email's going and you're saying, "Can I be paid, please?" And also the platform will desensitise that emotion to ask for payment. A lot of people are emotionally connected to the invoice to the company who's not paid. And we're trying to kind of desensitise, take the emotion away, because we often get clients who are highly emotional and very connected to, they haven't paid me.
I've always remember being in sales pretty much all my life that our FD would always say, or whoever FD was at the time, you can't ask for the money. You get the sales. You can't ask for the money.
Correct.
And I get that.
And that is
but now automation
takes that away. It takes away that. Should I ask them? When should I ask them? The customer will be educated because they're in the platform. They're organised. They're routines. They will expect your letter to come in and ask for payment. So that's the automation side, and that digital adoption. So I think it will definitely desensitise that. I need to ask them for payment now. That feeling that certainly small businesses get, because sometimes their relationship is super close to the creditor.
I'd love to, I could talk about this all day.
Yeah.
There is an area that we'd love to talk about and introduce at this point, and that is the area of staff attraction and retention.
Yeah.
Because right now we feel that it's one of the hot potatoes for business owners and controllers. That the problems, the issues that they're having in those two things, we feel are pretty important and out there. Are there any things that you guys, because of your vast wealth and knowledge, is there anything that you can offer up for the viewers and listeners to?
I think for the staff acquisition for us is, we are hiring currently, and we're always hiring. And we're only interviewing the other day, and we just secured a head of marketing. So we are currently always speaking to people and getting a feel.
And do you feel today is much different to 10, 20 years ago of attracting people?
I think so,
the things you've got to do?
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think we can benchmark it two different ways. So the traditional business of being in commercial debt recovery and litigation, it's a certain type, isn't it? It's a certain type of person that wants to actually be in that industry. And having had that business for 17 years, a lot of the staff that are still with me today, and Gordon will say he agrees with us, have probably kind of been there from the beginning.
Okay.
That's a
for
great
me,
testament.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, for us, but I allow the staff to be entrepreneurial as well, because it's their, we like to say it's their ball, it is their ball. I might be the leader, or I might be the face of the business, or all of those things. But like coming here today, I have a very mature business with mature staff, and I know I can disappear and that business runs, but that's due to my behaviour with them. So I think, trust and behaviour is huge.
They also know where we are. I think, we spend,
and retention's massive in staff.
Communication is really key. So you build a lot of trust by...
I don't hide anything from staff, but I've always been like that. And maybe some people say I'm a bit too open. But
they
in
can
return...
really get a feel for how the business is
and
going.
in return, you get that back, I think. However, fintech is completely different. So since we've opened Noit, Noit's a fintech. So it's financial services and tech coming together. Yep. So it's a fintech solution. So completely different characters, completely different wants and needs. They don't need as much engagement and as encouragement. And, you know, I'm not saying that all of the time,
Sure.
but they're very, very different from the Darcey Quigley staff. Now, I can only base this on, you know, my experience.
Sure.
So Darcey Quigley staff are very, very different from the fintech staff, purely down to the way that we're hiring, really, because they're tech,
the
they're
pandemic
devs.
has created a little bit of that too, because there's a desire to have in our case, I think, a hybrid opportunity, you know, working from home as well as working in the office as a team. And it's what you do when you're in the office with them that creates that team and keeps that team together. So Lynne has introduced town hall sessions where it was every week, every couple of weeks, but it's now every month at their request. We've given them personal development time.
Yeah, they do PD time, you know, because in the fintech world, the technology is moving at such a pace.
So you need to keep abreast of the market.
You know,
and the
we need
industry.
to allow the team to have time to, you know, personal development, look at other products, things that they feel would enhance their job every day. You know, so if they're in working in, say, a platform, or they're trying to deploy software, or they're trying to do something, and they go, do you know what, I've seen something that's really, really, really good. Would the business invest in this? And this will make our deployment time go from 20 minutes to a minute. So we give them PD time. So we brought that in, and I actually asked our lead, and he's been with us, he's a founding member of the project, Noit, so he's been with us from the beginning. And I said to him a few months ago, I said, look, what can we do that aligns the business and the tech? Right, so the tech are there, they're building, head down, earphones on, communication practically nil, right? And when you're used to being a person like me, you like interaction, and you find it quite, you know, it's a bit unsettling, right? To say, I've learnt to deal with it now, but I still thought, you know what, I'm going to dig in. What can we do that's going to make us align, right? Because the business is over here and we're running at 150 mile an hour, and you're here and you're just not plodding, but you're just doing, and you're not involved. So let's say, and Gordon says it, we call it the town hall. So we've made it a bit like Glasgow. So we've called it. So where that came from, and the lead dev actually came to me and said, you know, in Google, in Silicon Valley, down in Google, they have a town hall session, and they let everyone, no matter your level, no matter your title, no matter who you are, how long you've been in the business, they let you have an opinion. And you get everyone in the room, and we say, we'd like to do this, or this is what we're up to, or the business has been doing this, or marketing's been doing this, or product we'd like to do.
They're telling you, or you say?
No, I give them a little bit of an update of what I've been doing. So for instance, I'll sit on our town hall next and say, I done a podcast, I was here, I was there, I was doing this, but I'm out doing it for the brand, I'm out giving our mission statement, you know, blah, blah, blah. And they're saying, well, we've done this, that. And it allows, it's not for me, but I get hundreds out of it. I get loads out of it. It's for them. Sure. And it was to allow them to basically, the business and the tech side, to align and become the Win Co.
Brilliant.
You know, we're not a tech business, and we're not, a business. You know, we're a fintech. We need to be together.
The other thing that's really helped is that we've involved them a lot more now in some of the customer interactions. So they get to see what it feels like for an SME, because we've got, as much as Lynne said, we'll officially launch in July. We've got quite a number of clients and customers using our platform. Yeah. We're learning from them just now. And our route to market is not just through the end user, but actually accountants, banks, industry bodies, memberships where they've got volume SMEs to support. So we've involved them in some of those demos and some of those interactions with clients, and that's really good because they get to hear directly about their product that they're building or enhancing and what an SME real life requires.
The pain. They need to see the pain.
That really helps that relationship between us and our development team from a tech side. So the tech and the business and commercial side starts to come together a bit more.
Yeah, so I found those, just those, and I didn't know that, I had to rely on, the tech lead who's worked in that environment all his life. You tell me what you need, and I'll facilitate it, because I can't tell you what you need. No, so but I'm happy to to do whatever it is you need. And that, I think that's just comms, isn't it? They come in many shapes and forms. That's it. Communication can be direct, it can be, and it's.
But whatever it is, we need it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to make sure that we've not missed anything that you wanted to raise today. It's either something that you think is important, or something that you'd actually want to get across in terms of your business, or something on a maybe a more higher level. Is there anything that we've missed?
I think for us is probably the biggest thing that's the two big things on my agenda right now is obviously going live is massive for us, you know, and getting our message out to, you know, the business owners out there who can't get paid or having difficulty to get paid. You know, we're here, we're there to support. You know, we are a small fintech business, and we do need support of, you know, the SMEs to come and use our platform, which is, you know, is one of the biggest thing. Second biggest thing for us right now is area of investment. We're working on our first round of investment.
Okay.
You know, so we have functions so far.
That will help you do what?
It will help us. Third big thing is launching, getting live. It will help with our customer acquisition. It'll also help with our staff acquisition. You know, we plan on putting about 14 heads on in the next 6 months if we're successful in our first round. It's all about staff acquisition for us.
And
you know,
it'll
we
also
have
help with international aspirations.
Yes, and we have our global aspirations. You know, so whilst out in Silicon Valley,
because you're digital, there is no boundaries.
There's no boundaries. No, we have our IP for Australia, New Zealand, and Canada because they're Commonwealth. They behave very much like us in terms of how we get our data in. They use the same accountancy package. So there's a beautiful synergy there. But having gone to Silicon Valley, it was like
when you come to America.
Yeah, why don't you come now? You know, we have the biggest debt in the land. You know, we could, you know, totally embrace your technology as we do, because, you know, we do embrace technology really easy. We have tons of cash we'd like to give you. You know, so we had lots of those conversations, and I have to say, being down in Silicon Valley, even speaking to a lot of the business owners, and the, you know, the LinkedIn, the Google, the Apple, in Silicon Valley Bank, we spent a day with them, and just understanding, you know, what they would support for the entrepreneurs, and, you know, someone from Glasgow coming over to Silicon Valley, what does that look like? You know, what the practicalities are, you know, and how do we do it? They made it all really simple. Well, they made it really sound simple. So I suppose global aspirations for us is huge. There is no boundaries really. Right. So
I think for me, SMEs are time poor, as we've said. They don't know what they don't know. Back to one of your original statements.
And that's why we called Noit.
Okay.
So I have to say that. The reason why we called it Noit is because you don't know what you don't know, and we find a lot of people don't know things. Sure. And if you go into platform, you'll be always really informed. And that's the purpose of making a good credit decision. Knowing your customer can't be more critical. There's no point closing your eyes and doing the deal.
What a fantastic note to finish on.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for coming in today.
That's like therapy.
The British Business Podcast, another amazing set of questions and answers today. Till next time.